Unlike any other form of sports, endurance auto racing demands a distinct form of discipline, a harmony of speed and patience, a race against yourself.
The rugged beauty of Central California, the Monterey Bay Peninsula, and Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca, where we are for round 4 of the Rolex Sports Car Series. Well, we've not even gotten to the race yet, Dorsey. We've already seen the drivers grapple with the challenges of this racetrack, and you got to wonder what's going to happen when the green falls on 51 drivers. Now, they do have a split start. Is that going to help?
Well, a little bit. You know, you're going to get the two different breeds across from each other, away from each other, but it won't last very long for sure. This racetrack, 2¼ miles, very slippery surface. It's one of the best road racing courses in North America. Drivers love to come and race on this type of a racetrack. But I'll tell you, these first laps, it's like on ice.
So much history here at Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. The drivers just ecstatic about returning to the natural terrain road courses. They love coming to places like this. We've left the Rovals for a while. We've gone to natural terrain circuits. The drivers are fired up. They're getting ready to be real fired up as they come down to look for the green.
And you got to watch for trouble down here in turn 2. It always happens. Not a really good start here.
Now, yesterday, the green was really late. They let everybody get on, and there it is. We're green flag. Now the run down to turn 2. With a big jump.
Oh, not for good pinch-starting. Luckily, that didn't turn into a big practice.
This is where the trouble always seems to happen. Down into turn 2, the hairpin. You can run too wide, it seems, but it's difficult.
You can do it as long as everybody's playing fair and not pushing around on each other. But the problem is, if somebody does something wrong, it takes all the innocent bystanders with them. That's only the first half of the field.
Well, the other thing, too, is it's cool here today. We've got some sunshine on the track, so we've got temperature on the surface itself, but how long is it going to take the tires to get up to temperature?
I'd say at least 2 good solid laps before these guys can really let the hammer down on these cars.
Boy, talk about letting the hammer down. It looks like Georg Bergmeister, I should say, in the 66, really putting the pressure on Negre. As you look at the GT start, green flag for these guys. They'll now make the run down to turn 2.
See if they can get it right. The DP boys did a good job. Let's see if the GT guys can get along.
Side by side, Kelly Collins leads the way in the 17 BMW, the blue and white car out front, and it looks like the 21 trying to slide up the inside, the 22 car, I should say, Ian James.
Wow, I'm impressed. They made it. That is very unusual.
Mark Rapoff really talking to these guys sternly in the drivers' meeting just an hour ago, telling these guys, look, we need to get some green flag racing under our belt before you guys start beating on each other. And it looks like Kelly Collins has been able to pull away here on the first lap. A few car lengths over Ian James.
Oh, and here we go. There's some passing going on. That's up into turn 5, and it worked out all right.
So they didn't make it one lap before they start going wheel to wheel. Little contact there, but it looks like everybody comes through cleanly.
It won't be long before those Daytona prototypes catch the back end of these. Now, these guys are all racing for position, so when the prototype guys get to them, they're not going to pull over. Side by side climbing the hill.
Still side by side as they come up towards the corkscrew. Collins makes the big jump off of the corkscrew as you ride on board the 22. One of the most difficult portions of the racetrack, I think, here, Dorsey, downhill out of the corkscrew.
Yeah, it's very fast, and this is a corner right here, 10, that always scared me to death. I always figured sooner or later I was going to get it wrong. If you do, boy, maybe only do it once.
And from the fastest corner into the slowest corner as they came onto the front straightaway, back up front with the Daytona prototypes. Negre still leads over Bergmeister in the 66 machine.
I tell you what, Negre, it was just so great to see him come back to this series and to come out here without very much practice in a brand new car and stick it on the pole. It just says so much about that young man's driving abilities. It's a shame he didn't get a full-time ride.
Yeah, there are a lot of times in racing where you just shake your head and you wonder what is going on, what people are thinking. We've already got a GT car onto pit road.
Looks like a drive-through. He hasn't stopped at any pit. He must have had a penalty for jumping the start, I'm thinking.
Negre still leads Daytona prototype class. Bergmeister second. Stefan Johansson sits third, followed by Diaz in the 01 car. They pulled a little bit of a gap over the 19. It's Memo Gidley in the 19 car. Don't forget that 19 machine, the 10 Motorsports car, led at the hands of Michael Valiente at Fontana, so that team really coming on strong. But the guy strong right now, it's strong all day yesterday, Negre.
Boy, he is just showing these guys what speed he can give. All these cars have been modified all during this week. Everybody trying to make downforce. You're going to see all kind of winglets on the front of the cars. You're going to see winglets on the sides of the cars, the back of the car. Everybody trying to make this car, this racetrack, which is so slippery, get some grip to it.
My question to you, Dorsey, is these guys like Negre, who have been out of the car for a while, obviously they have not forgotten how to drive, but isn't it the racecraft that may be a little bit rusty?
Well, you know, he hasn't been in a car in a while for sure. Ozzy's driven a bunch of different things. He does a lot of testing for people, so at least he's familiar with racing the cars. But you're right, he hasn't gone head-to-head with all these other driver combinations. And when you go head-to-head with someone you don't know, you can't go to the commitment level that you would normally.
So look at him running down through turn 10, the fastest section of the racetrack. There's Memo Gidley in the 19 car. Negre still leads as they come through the slowest corner on the racetrack. Plenty of action early on. No reason to believe it won't continue when we come back to Laguna Seca right after this. Here we go, and this is where the cooperation really needs to work. Working through these GT cars and through the infield portion here, this is one of the areas of the racetrack that the drivers have said has very, very little grip. Negre with a good job cutting through traffic there, but Bergmeister all over the back end of him, and York was just spectacular under braking, and Fontana looks up the inside. Not right now, not this time.
Now this is where it's going to get tricky. Watch when we get to this next corner. This is turn 6 coming up. When we turn into the turn 6 corner, you start up the long uphill climb that goes to the corkscrew, and this is where it really gets kind of congested.
Yeah, and up here in the corkscrew, heavy braking and more GT cars. We're going to be saying that a lot today. Negre looks up the inside. He says, no, not this time. Not willing to risk it all this early in the race. He may not have raced for a while, may not have raced the season, Dorsey, but he's
he's up the inside. He's going to take the
congestion.
That was a brave move right there. I don't think that Ozzy realized that he was going to try that.
And Negre, I don't think he's willing to risk it all right now like Bergmeister is. Look at this.
The Porsches on the inside are getting into bumping and banging mode, and you don't want to be outside of them when they do that. They spin, they're going to get you with them. Oh,
man.
Negre
gets shuffled to the back.
4 wide, up the front straight.
He is now back. Look at the 19 car flashing the lights, trying to get past the GTs. And Negre screaming backwards right now. Don't know if he has a problem or he just got trapped.
He's trapped. He's stuck to the outside with all the other DPs. This is just almost, you know, you get stuck out like that, nobody's going to give you a break, and you won't let you back in. You just keep falling back.
It's like pulling out of the draft on a restrictor plate race in Nextel Cup. On board.
Oh, and Ace Roston right in front. They're going to collide. I saw that coming. Holy moly. Frizzell spins, and I don't know, Ozzy tries to go the outside, but it was the wrong move. That car had to go outside when it spun.
That was the number 8 that got hit, the car that spun. Brian Frizzell behind the wheel on board the 10 car. You saw the contact there. Wayne Taylor behind the wheel of the SunTrust entry when that contact happened, but it looked like he really had no place to go, Dorsey, as the 8 car is underway, but
it's bent, though. He's bent the front suspension on it. You can see that. That car is going to need a lot of help, and he'll be lucky to get it back to the pits without having another accident. You look at the rear wheel. The rear wheel on the right side is completely bent and broken. That car might have to be withdrawn. When you see it turn in here, watch the right rear wheel.
He's going to have a hard time.
Look at the right rear.
Even getting through the corner.
It's completely knocked off the car.
I was talking to Gary Grossenbacher, who is the engineer on this car for the Frizzell brothers. Brian Frizzell behind the wheel right now, the younger brother. And I asked him, I said, you know, these guys are so young. They're doing such a great job. Do you get a chance to engineer, or are you driver coach half the time? And he said, you know, it's about 50-50. I've got to do both. See if we can see what happens here on the replay on board the SunTrust car.
Just under brake. He gets a little bit too much rear brake bias. Wayne Taylor goes to the outside. Wrong move there as the car spins, goes wide, and collects Wayne.
But
you know, look, I'm looking at Taylor's car. I don't think it's he might have escaped with not too much damage.
Well, and that's one of the corners that we talk about. There's another look at it. You see the contact there. Frizzell definitely gets the worst end of that.
As long as it didn't hit Wayne's right rear wheel, if it just hit him in the side, he'd be okay. And Calvin?
Well, down here in the Frizzell's pit, and Brian started the race. Great qualifying performance by your brother, but your goal today was to stay out of trouble, but it hasn't turned out that way.
No, Brian did a great job for RX.com in qualifying, put the car 7th, It's just such a bummer because, we knew this race was going to come down to traffic, and obviously it bit him there. We saw he was in a kind of a mess, and it just got the car turned around, and it's a bummer. RX.com has really done a phenomenal job for us this year. We just can't get that result yet.
They're looking for it. They led at Fontana, thought they were going to have a podium finish here today. It's not going to turn out that way, Brian.
No, it's definitely not going to turn out that way today, Calvin. Looks like we've got a full course yellow. I'm sure there's some debris on the racetrack from that contact that was had there. As we began to catch the GT cars, things are heating up here at Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. Stay with us, they'll only get hotter. Just before the break, we saw the problems with the 6 car. He has been to pit road. He was running 3rd. He had a problem. Almost has another problem there as he comes through turn 5 on the uphill to the corkscrew. Let's see if we can see what happened earlier, Doris.
Watch the right rear of the car. Something's going to happen back there. Oh, he touched that other car. He moved over that other. He made contact with that other car.
Let's see if we can get some answers from Calvin Fish.
Well, Kenny's teammate is Mike Borkowski, and Kenny had a great run there going up in the top 3. What brought him into pit lane, Mike?
Yeah, Kenny's doing an absolutely excellent job. I think he got hit in the left rear, a little body damage, and we got a left rear flat tire, so he had to come in prematurely. So hopefully we'll get back up there.
And also over on the right side, guys, actually the rear spoiler had been kicked in as well, so it's definitely been in the action.
Somewhere. Body work all over the place here. Oh, it's
That's the
25.
The nose off of the 25 car. Chad McQueen behind the wheel right now.
Here we'll see what happens.
That's up into the corkscrew in the braking zone.
Oh, I don't know if he touched him or what.
Couldn't tell.
It didn't look like he touched him, I think.
Chris, what have you got?
Well, you guys can see that the nose on the 25 is missing right now. Chad McQueen hopped out of the car. Dominic Cicero hopping in. Dominic's been very quick all weekend, and Chad has said a couple times, hey, I'm just still trying to learn this car, pick up the pace out here. But it does look like a little bit of contact out here, and we've seen Chad go off the racetrack a few times. So hopefully they'll get this thing fixed, get Dominic out there, and hopefully they'll stay in the fight.
Chad McQueen doing a good job. He doesn't have near the experience that some of these other drivers have, but doing a great job. Hasn't been that far off the pace, but very interesting there. I couldn't tell whether he touched the 6 or not.
I don't think he did. I mean, it didn't look like it, but it came unfastened, and it doesn't need much air under it before we got a full course caution now to pick up all this mess.
I was going to ask, you come over the hill there into the braking zone. Could the turbulent air have picked that up? Well, we'll find out right here.
I don't know if he would. No, it didn't.
Oh, no, he never touched
He never touched him. He touched the curb with the right front wheel, but it was ready to go, and it just, like you say, it was the nose high attitude as it comes up over the top of the wind got underneath it, and it wasn't fastened, and off she goes.
Yeah, no contact there. I was thinking that the 6 car would have been moved if he had hit him right there in the braking zone, so it looks like just the turbulent air, maybe the rise in the track there caused that nose to depart, but that had to be a moment for Chad McQueen.
It's kind of neat when that happened. Oh, 99's in, and it's got damage, Chris.
Yeah, Doris, also some right front damage on the 99 here. Bob Stallings had this car out early. These guys have been very fast this weekend. Alex Gurney was quickest in one of the sessions yesterday. So not much time on this car. First race of the year, these guys hopefully trying to get things fixed and stay on the lead lap.
Now, why would they not put a nose on that car? That's not going to run good like that.
Well, they may not have one, Dorsey.
I'd be looking to borrow one from somebody.
They just picked this car up last week and did 1 day of testing in it. That's a brand new team. Alex Gurney sat at the top of the charts in one of the practice sessions, and that really says a lot for this team. And Bob Stallings doing a great job as well.
Chris?
Yeah, Doris, actually these guys do have another nose back here, so this car is very new. They've only had it for 2 weeks, but you know, you got to remember this is their first pit stop in Rolex competition, so maybe they're just not on the game there.
Yeah, because with that big hole in the front, the car's going to have a bunch on their steer. Oh, one's in, Calvin.
Well, the 01 is in, unbelievably. The 66 car did not pit, so they're obviously playing a different strategy in. Luis Diaz has brought the 01 machine in. You can see there that dive plane has been torn off there on the right front corner. Scott Pruitt is going to have to deal with a little bit of understeer. They may have made a tire pressure change here to try and accommodate that situation. Waiting on fuel, tires are done. Good pit stop. Let's go down to Chris.
Calvin, down here with the 54, Kellner's in the car in the beginning of the race here. Terry Borchler not feeling well this weekend, so Kellner's is going to run most of this weekend in this car. These guys have had a tough go in the 2005 season, but they found a few things with the car this weekend. They've actually softened it up, something you wouldn't think they'd do at Laguna Seca, and the car's just a little bit more compliant, easier to drive, so having a pretty good go today.
Well, you saw the official holding the 54 car right there for a pass on pit lane, so a penalty to the 54 car. That's going to hurt them, but they got a long way to go.
Can't pass other cars on pit lane, that's for sure.
Behind the pace car, Jörg Bergmeister on board with him right now under full course yellow at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. Probably won't be the last one we see today. Stay with us. Watching the battle for fourth, Scott Pruitt has just gotten past Stefan Gregoire in the 09 car, but the 77 of Matteo Bobbi hanging right in there. And what a tremendous job Gregoire has done. We talked a lot last year about the Mike Shank team being the little team that could. I think this year it's the Doug Goad operation that is the little team that could. Calvin?
Indeed, a great performance. Doug, Stefan's doing a tremendous job out there. How much further can you stretch the fuel?
Well, we're going to try and stretch it as far as we can. We're getting to the point right now where we really need a yellow. We decided to stretch the first load of fuel to try and get past the halfway point. Don't think we're going to quite get there, but we need a yellow here the next 4 or 5 laps. We've got a problem.
The other thing to consider, guys, is these teams are running on the 50 compound Hoosier tire here. When you get that many miles on them, probably at the end of the stint here, that's why they're struggling against the guys who've already come into the pits and got fresh rubber.
That's a good point. These tires definitely at the end of the cycle drop off in speed. All the guys with the new rubber. And, here's a battle for the lead. The fastest car on the racetrack is Mimo Gidley, the second place number 19 car. He's been running lap times at 126 to Bergmeister's 128. So I don't think it's long. Gidley really coming on.
Well, and there's another instance of fresher tires.
Yes.
You know that Bergmeister has been out there. He's light on fuel, but he's run a lot of the rubber off of those Hoosier tires. And Mimo Gidley coming strong after Bergmeister. Chris?
Yeah, Brian, that's actually really surprising that Gidley is charging so hard on Bergmeister, because I just checked in with Steve Cameron, the team manager, and he's told Mimo just to settle down. Don't worry about anything out there. Just get some laps under your belt. Don't go after Jörg, because they know that Jörg had to pit. But obviously, maybe those Hoosiers are giving up a little bit, and Mimo's just got a little bit of a fresher car.
Man, you settle down. I want the lead.
You know? I was going to say, yeah, he's going to slow down. Come on, it's Mimo Gidley. The guy wants to race, he wants to win, he wants the lead, and he'll take it when he gets a chance. And look at him close under braking there.
That's the tires. Look here. He's got so much better mid-corner speed.
Well, you saw it everywhere. You saw him close up in braking. You saw him get the power down off the corner.
Now, the guy we haven't talked to is Butch Leitzinger's now in the number 4 car. He also is turning really, really quick lap times and is up to 3rd place.
Yeah, just the last lap, he was a half a second faster than both of the cars in front of him. And look at this. Here's the battle.
Oh, this is good.
Oh,
they
contact.
Battle for second goes side to side, and he's going to push him off the outside of the track.
Here comes Leitzinger.
Leitzinger gets by. I tell you what, these guys mean business. The guys with the new tire, big upper hand there. Bergmeister in the 66, he needs a yellow flag in the worst way.
Well, and the car that has come up there and gotten in the middle of all that is the 67 car. That's the other Krone PRG machine with Nick Janssen behind the wheel now. He has taken over from Tracy Krone and he is bringing the fight to these guys now. He's not fighting for the lead right now. He's a lap down, but he is certainly one of the fastest. He's going to take it over from his teammate.
He takes Georg Bergmeister to the outside, which is going to cost him 2 or 3 positions. The 4 is up to the lead.
He just pipped his teammate and cost him the lead. Janssen goes through. He wants the lap back. He's got it back, but now...
I think it was going to happen either way, Brian, but I'll tell you what, your teammate to run you hard like that. Calvin?
Well, we see the Crawford taking the lead, and a lot of people are surprised that the Crawford would be competitive on what is regarded as a downforce track. We knew the Rileys would be strong here. They didn't have a great qualifying run, but since the last round at Fontana, they kept the cars out here. They did a test at Mesa, really working on trying to get more downforce into that Crawford chassis, particularly around the rear spoiler area and how the wing angle affects that. They've certainly done a good job.
Oh, contact.
Action on track, boys.
Took the 66. Bergmeister's going into the gravel trap.
No.
That's bad. Now he's going to be stuck. Sure. And he's going to lose a great deal of time. He got taken by the 19, unfortunately. Gidley, he gets out. Well, that's good news. You better be making a green flag pit stop, though, I would think.
I think there's some damage to the back of that 66 car. I thought I saw some body work come off of it in the contact. Certainly a lot of dirt and debris on the tires right now, so he's not going to have good grip.
Well, he didn't have much grip anyway. I mean, he's run his tires off completely. He's waiting for a yellow.
Look at the onboard there. You see the cars coming by. See if we can get a replay of what happened. He's over the curbing there as he comes out of the corkscrew. Let's take a look.
Watch the 19 try to get up underneath him, and he's got into the back of him hard.
There's the body
Good
work.
save by Jorg. Watch this onboard when we get on here with Jorg.
You see him get loosened up.
Darn good job of not spinning the car around, I'll tell you that, and getting out of that trap.
Jorg had to go past the slower car there, but we understand the 19 is going to get a drive-through penalty for the contact with the 66 car. The 66 is in. Calvin.
The car is in. I don't see any damage on the front end, Brian. I'm going to whip around to the back end. Max Papps is going to take over from Jorg here, and he's had success here at this racetrack. In fact, there is damage over on the left corner. The overhang behind the wheel is gone. I'm not sure how much that will affect the downforce. Bigger problem looking at the back end of the cars that the exhaust pipes have really been gripped, and that could really affect the back pressure on this Pontiac motor and cost Max some horsepower. So he's won here in Champ Car Racing before. Max Pappas, the co-champion from 2004, waiting to do his stuff, Brian.
Well, the officials really stepping up their game. They're doing what they said they would do. They're not going to stand for the rough driving that we've seen in the past. 19, Memo Gidley is going to get to visit pit lane for the contact that he had with the 66 car. Probably wasn't intentional, but he'll have to come to pit lane, and we'll come back to Laguna Seca right after this. U.S. Sports Car Invitational from Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. Look at the green countryside. Had a lot of rain out here. It is beautiful in California. There's a look at the number 19 car. Michael McDowell behind the wheel right now. This team doing an outstanding job battling early on. Memo Gidley had a great run in the car. Had some contact with Jorg Bergmeister. They had to do a drive-through penalty for that. But we've seen some possible problems with this car under the yellow. Chris, what have you got?
Checking in with Steve Cameron down here. They initially thought there was no problem. Looked like possibly. I don't know if you can hear Steve there. He's just trying to give me the most current information. Initially, they said they didn't see any temperature problems or alarms going off. Now they're thinking it might be a little gearbox. Say there might be some fluid on the floor of the car. We also wanted to try and talk to Memo Gidley, but he's down in his hauler right now changing, so hopefully we'll have a chance to talk with him in a few minutes.
I find that strange that it could be something with the gearbox, but there's fluid in the cockpit of the car. The gearbox be on the other end.
Yeah, way back the other end. So if you got fluid on the floorboard or inside the floorboard, it's usually brake fluid. Master cylinders are up in there. Could be power steering fluid. That's up in there. It's Michael McDowell.
Well, you've got the radiator in the front of the car, and the tubing comes back down through the chassis. So The 2 car is in. It looks like Andy Wallace is getting in. Calvin?
Yeah, he's finally getting in today, and they've lost a lot of ground here. I think they're down in 20th position, Brian. So we've seen some miracles by this man before, but I don't think today is going to be his turn. They're going to bank on the number 4 car and try and get a Crawford into victory lane. Looks like a routine stop. The nose is a little bit damaged here. It's a little bit loose on the right side, but with downforce as it drives through the air, it's going to pin that thing down. It shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, the troubles of the 2 car have been well documented today. Andy Wallace, as you said, Calvin, we've seen some miraculous drives in the past, but they are now 2 laps down. And around this racetrack, I don't see that happening, Dorsey.
No, I don't think so. I mean, he'd have to have cautions in the right place and stay out and all kind of things. Andy can drive as good as anybody on the planet when it, I mean, he can put the pedal down, but you can't make up 2 laps. Well, we got luck in this race.
Also understand that Oswaldo Negre is back in the 60 car. The lights are off on the pace car. We should be going back to green. The 19 car heading to pit lane as they come around to take the green. So McDowell will have to come in and have that car checked out. But Butch Leitzinger wants to check out when the green flag comes out. He's got the 77.
Uh-oh, that's not going to work.
That's not going to work. The 77 car with the big shot.
They dropped the green. That's going to put a penalty on the 77. The 01 also was alongside of a car early. We'll have to see how they call it.
You wonder, the 77 returned the position back, so you wonder if they'll give him the penalty or they'll let him. He's right.
Oh, and it's spin. Somebody got into the back of one of the Porsches, lead Porsches. Now we've got 4 cars off the outside of 2. 3 will continue.
Would you consider that the Grand Crumblage?
Not yet.
That's not the big one.
It's
okay.
not the big one yet.
But you saw that Golan righted the wrong that he did, I should say. He slid back and gave the position back. Maybe the penalty won't be assessed, but 01, Scott Pruitt behind the wheel is now taking the fight to Butch Leitzinger. That yellow flag really helped close the gap.
It helped a lot of cars close up what they needed to close up, and now everybody's on equal turf again. Most cars full of fuel load and new tires and fresh drivers.
Remember, Scott Pruitt was some 19 seconds back earlier on. That yellow flag has put him right there now, only a car length or so behind.
Boy, he's really aggressive, really working Butch over, getting up into the corkscrew there.
If you've, look at the inside.
You know what? I think Pruitt's tires came in quicker than Butch's. Butch might not have been being as aggressive on the heat cycle trying to keep those tires up, because right now Butch's car has not the grip that the 01 of Scott Pruitt has.
Yeah, Pruitt able to drive that car down into the apex of turn 9. Looked like he could be much more aggressive with it than.
Oh, and a shake up back at the back there.
Understand that the 77 car just got a warning for that.
Okay, that's why he got a warning, and he rectified the problem, and that's why he doesn't get the penalty.
But I believe you were right, Dorsey. It looks like things have settled down a little bit, but Pruitt definitely looked like he had a better car underneath him on that restart.
Yeah, I think his tires came in. He had more heat in them or less debris on them than maybe Butch did. Now Butch's car looks like it's up to song.
Well, now we're going to see what they can do. They've got at least probably 4 or 5 laps of clear sailing in front of them, we would think, before they catch the tail into the field again. And we'll see if Leitzinger can pull away from Pruitt. But right now, they can drive these cars as hard as they need to. No traffic in front, and maybe Leitzinger wishes there was a little traffic.
Well, why they have such a big lead is because behind them, there's a furious battle been going on. And these guys have been bumping and rubbing each other around pretty good. And so it's allowed the 2 cars up here to escape with about a 10-car length lead back to 3rd place.
Yeah, big gap back. The last time at the line, it was 4 seconds back from Pruitt to the 3rd place car, and it looks like that gap has gotten even bigger.
Yeah, I saw a long shot out of the distance I saw some cars bumping each other and turning each other sideways at this corner right here coming on the front straightaway.
One of the fastest cars on the racetrack right now is Oswaldo Negre, who's back in the 60 car, but he's going to have to get a long way to go before he can catch up with these guys. And look at the lead that Leitzinger is able to pull out on that second lap, I should say. And then it closes right back up in the braking zone.
Yeah,
take a look.
Look at the restart here. Now watch the gold car, the 2nd place car, jump to start. Now, if I was in the lead car, I would have done the same thing. I'd have just put my brakes on and make him get that penalty.
Yeah, that made it pretty darn obvious. Leitzinger refused to go, and it just made it obvious.
Contact between the 01 and the 77 right there. And those guys are battling behind these cars, which really let these 2 get away. Look behind here, coming up the hill. This is your 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th place, and these guys have been roughing each other up. That's Mike Borkowski, who we talked to. That's Max Angelelli in the 10.
And that's the 02 car at the front of the order right there, but they are a lap down. Court Wagner in that car right now. Borkowski sits in third in the 6 car. Wayne Taylor behind him. Side by side, there's the battle for the lead.
A little smoke out of Leitzinger's car there. I think it's probably just a little bit of brake lock up. That's the pass for the lead. Pruitt now in the 0-1 in a place we're so familiar for it to be running.
Well, we just said it looked like the 01 a little better in braking than the 4 car. It looked like the 4 car seemed to be a little bit better through the high-speed portions of the racetrack. But the passing zones here are all about hard braking, and that's where Pruitt was able to make his move up into the corkscrew.
Scott Pruitt, a lot of laps around here in a lot of different cars. Did a lot of champ car races here. He's done a lot of all kind of races here.
Here's the battle for third, and it's been taken over by Angelelli. Borkowski shuffled back to fourth, and back up front, Leitzinger not going to give up easily.
Now, Butch isn't going to lay down on this thing by any means. You know, maybe his car, and we've seen this before, maybe his car takes longer to come into its own. It might get faster as it goes along. Calvin?
Well, Max Angelelli certainly having a great run here this afternoon, and he's fired up, but the team are just talking to him on the radio, just trying to calm him down. They haven't finished outside the first 2 all season long, so they're going to try and stretch that record a little bit further.
Angelelli doing a tremendous job in spite of the problems that they had early on, the contact, the drive-through penalty. Doing well to have that car in third. He's going to have to work his way past the 02 car with Court Wagner behind the wheel, who's running very good lap times right now, actually quicker than Angelelli, so it's going to be hard to get past him, but he's going to need to if he wants to catch up with this battle up front. Pruitt pulling away from Leitzinger slightly.
It won't be. Oh, look at this moisture on this windscreen here. Somebody's leaking fluid. Look
Hard
at it.
to tell whether it's the 02 or the GT car they just came past. We'll find out. Fluid's still there. Angelelli works in third place. He wants to get past the 02 and take the battle to Butch Leitzinger. We'll see if he can improve his position when we come back to Laguna Seca. Getting ready for the restart here. This is it. This is what it's all come down to, Dorsey. We're going to stay till the checkered flags. We're going to see if Pruitt can hold on, but you know that Leitzinger is going to be right there.
And everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know as a driver, this is the last one probably before the checker flaws. You know, you got to give everything you can on these restarts.
And you've got first, second, and third right there. Borcheller on the back.
Watch how crafty Pruitt is slowing them up. Trying to slow them up. Everybody's going to get messed up because of this. That's what he wanted.
Then you've got the lapped cars, the 02 and the 67. And here we go, down to turn 2.
Turn 2, it's going to be big down here. Who's going to do what to who?
These guys have played well together so far today. The 67 of Nick Janssen.
Good move up inside. He made that pass. Off on the outside, that's the 02.
Remember? Oh, contact!
Contact, 2 cars off there.
That was
67.
the 02 and the 67. Stefan Johansson behind the wheel of the 02 car right now. In the 67, Nick Janssen.
Nick Janssen really being a little aggressive right there, both in turn 2 and turn 3.
And the guy that's the winner on that one is Mike Borkowski. It gets them out of the way and gives him clear sailing to Borcheller. We'll see if he can do anything with it. Look at Pruitt take off. We talked about this earlier. This car just looks so good on the restarts.
That car is great on restarts. It just comes up. Now, that part of that is all of the experience, and we talked about experience that Scott has. Scott, when he knows he goes green on a restart, he pedals 100% the first lap, regardless of what the car is going to feel like. He drives around it, just right through it. It takes the 4 car we know a little longer to get its tires up and get up to the same speed, although Butch doing a really good job not letting them get away.
Yeah, hanging with him a little bit, but you see that lead that Pruitt's been able to pull out just a little bit. That's what we saw the last time, and you take every car length or 2 car lengths when you can get it, and Pruitt certainly get it. See if we can take a look at what happened down in turn 3.
Well, there you see Stefan going up inside and hit the 67. I mean, he just drills the 67. Now here's the 58.
Separate incident here.
Look at these guys banging around up in front of him.
Oh.
Hello. There goes another hood.
Another nose.
Two of them.
I don't know if there was contact there or that one just came off. Either way, it's out on the racetrack. I wonder if they're going to have to go get that. Remember, we've gone full course yellow for body work in the racetrack before. Will we have to do it again?
I'm wondering where the cars that they came off of are and where all those pieces are lying around.
Well, the other thing is, you know, we talked about these body panels being made of carbon fiber. Those little shards and pieces
Like
of carbon
razor.
fiber are like razors.
Yeah, it's that stuff you can't even go out and pick it up without getting it in the tires.
66 was just on pit road, Calvin.
He was, as Max Papsy came in. They changed tires. It looked like one had gone down a little bit, and there was damage to the right rear spoiler. So Max did a flame out here like you wouldn't believe. I don't think he was happy about the situation.
Wow, that's what we're talking about with cut down tires, but this one sounds like a contact issue more than...
Did we call that wrong? I thought it was the 67 car that was involved with Johansson. Was it the 66?
No, I don't think it was. I don't think the 66
Look
was
at the
that far.
front end on the 19 car.
Bent up on the left front corner.
Or the 10 car, I mean.
The 10 car, yeah, the left front.
They changed that paint scheme. It's confusing.
It is. I mean, I wish they wouldn't have done that because now it looks like all the other cars. But the left front is way high on the splitter. That'll allow a lot of air to get underneath there. And, well, the whole front end's high.
Yeah, the whole front end.
It looks like it's knocked it up.
Yeah, it must have moved. It's way up in the air. That certainly is going to pack air underneath the car, and you're not going to get the downforce that you need. See what Angelelli can do with it.
Yeah, high speed. That should be really high speed understeer with all that air piling up underneath the front end, creating lift.
You got to believe that contact with someone has put that body work askew, but it doesn't seem to be slowing him down much right there. Now, Borkowski pulls a little bit out of the corner.
Max Yax doesn't care. I mean, if he's got any wheels left on it, and he's got a steering wheel between his hands, he's going to go.
I'm not sure he needs 4 wheels on it.
No, he doesn't need all 4. Just give him the wheel, the one he's holding.
A little off the apex there by Borkowski, but look at Angelelli. That's amazing. But you can see over there in the corner, the body work lifted up over there.
You got a big hole over in this corner right there. This is too high right there. Both of those are going to create lift on high speed.
You would think it would affect it under braking too. You know, a lot of people just think of downforce as something that helps you through the corner, but it also helps in braking.
Take a look at what happened to Max Yax when the 10 gets his nose lifted. This is over the crest of the hill, headed to turn 2. Oh, that's Borkowski on the inside. Oh, then did they bump right there? Yeah, he rubbed right on the side of the car and lifted that front end off. There's pins that hold that down. I think he just lifted it off the pins.
Just light contact is all it took. Where those cars have been through the war today, so they're probably pretty worn out. That may have been all it took was light contact to move it. Going to be
oh boy, what a
up the
move!
inside.
Max on the brake zone is just unbelievable.
And that's in turn 5. That's not a heavy braking corner. He really shoved it up in there. As a matter of fact, that's the corner where he and Matteo Bobby had the incident earlier.
Of course, we heard Mike Borkowski saying, and now we hear a full course caution is out again. We know that there's some of the front ends, turn 1. Mike Borkowski had said when we were talking to him on the onboard that he thinks towed out the back end of the car. It's very loose. There's the car, the 15, Chris Bingham's car, that has no front end on it any longer.
Well, I'd like to have the bodywork concession for this.
No kidding. Those little front ends laying around the track, folks, are way over $10,000 each, I guarantee you.
Oh, absolutely. It may be well over 20.
Yeah, it could be 20, 30,000. I wouldn't know because I'm not going to buy one.
But another nose has come off. They're going to have to go get that. We talked about it earlier. It's not a small piece of debris. It's not going to just leave the racetrack without somebody moving, and you'd prefer that it be one of the safety workers move it instead of one of the race cars.
Now what this is going to do is end up with a big sprint to the finish here. We got 4 minutes left, under 4 minutes, and we're under caution. They're going to have to clean up all that debris. Then it's going to be down to about a 2-minute shootout, which is about a lap around here.
And so how much debris is going to be on the racetrack at the end of that 2-minute shootout?
I'm thinking we're going to have a 1-lap sprint, and that usually causes the big one.
The Grand Crumblage?
When I used to be in the car and we have a 1-lap sprinter at 2 laps to the end, I would always get on the radio to the crew and I said, all right, boys, the wreck is on. And it almost always is.
Our colleague David Hobbs calls it the Grand Crumblage. And those 2-lap shootouts or that 1-lap shootout is what brings it on a lot of times. You know, the guys will be grabbing their belts, pulling them down as tight as they can, and holding on because you know they're going to be going for it at the end. On board right now, the 58 car, David Donahue behind the wheel. There's a look at Max Pappas. These guys not having the day they wanted.
A lot of on boards. There's the 2 Andy Wallace. He's still in this deal. And
Max Angelelli.
You know, I take a look at maybe what happened to the 15's hood. There's some tire smoke. He's all locked up right there. Goes off. Yeah, that's what did it. He bounces off into the outfield there, and that's going to loosen up those pins I talked about.
Then he's going to pack a 150-mile-an-hour breeze underneath it, and
woof. Well, we're hearing that we can't clean it up in time, and we might finish under yellow. I wish they wouldn't, but if that's the case, Scott Pruitt's going to win this deal. And I wanted that last lap fling because you get to see the most imaginative driving.
You don't mean that we haven't seen imaginative driving already, Doris?
Well, there's been
I've seen some very imaginative driving today. If Pruitt can hold on, and why wouldn't he be able to for one more lap behind the pace car? It would be the second win in a row, and that would match Angelelli and Taylor, 2 victories apiece in Daytona prototypes for those guys. The 16 car in GT.
And there's the white flag at the starter stand signifying this will be the last trip around. You see the pace car with the lights on. That means, sorry boys, unless you can't finish this lap, it's going to finish just like it is right now.
The 16 car in GT is going to take that checkered flag when they come back around. That is good for Bill Auberlen. Not so good for his teammate Joey Hand, who is in the other car, the 22 car, which runs 3rd right now. But that will certainly help Auberlen out in his chase for the GT championship. Look at Pruitt. All he has to do is cruise around. He's already been told on the radio that victory is basically his. Just get around to the start-finish line and let the celebration begin. It's a shame to see that. I don't know if Leitzinger would have had anything for him anyway.
Well, you know, you save a lot of cars this way, no question, because as a driver, your job on a 1 lap to go, you know, green flag is to let it all hang out. And it almost always does wreck cars. GT winner, of course, is the number 16. Good job by those guys.
Bill Auberlen in the car right now. Tom Milner, Justin Marks, and Bill Auberlen in that car. That's going to be also good for Milner and Marks as they're going to get the victory. Not only good for Auberlen, but the other teammates, the regular drivers in that car as well.
Scott Pruitt won last year at Mont Tremblant, our next race on this outing, under the yellow, just as he has today.
Well, it doesn't really matter to those guys. They'll take them any way that they can get them. You look there at the 16 car. It's going to be BMW's 1, 2, 3 in GT class. The 16 car, then the 17, and then the 22. So a good day for the boys at PTG. A good day for the boys at Chip Ganassi Racing as far as the 01 car goes. Sad to see the 02 with the problems. They had a pretty good run for the day. And what about the 54 car? They've done so much work on that. Jim Bell and the boys, Terry Borcheller and Ralph Kellener's driving an excellent race today. They made a lot of improvements that seems to have paid off.
Well, it's the first time they've been able really to get into the thick of the race against these other cars. I mean, they were a contending car today, no question about that. So the work that they've done, definitely paying off. I mean, a little bit more. That's all he'll need. They'll be up in the front.
And a good job by Angelelli to hold on to 4th. That'll be good for his championship hopes. Here we come to the checkered flag. It is now official as they roll across the line. Scott Pruitt and Luis Diaz take their 2nd victory in a row. We'll be back for the champagne in Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca in just a moment. And we have certainly seen plenty of action here today. Great battles throughout the racetrack, but the guy that comes out on top, Scott Pruitt and Luis Diaz for the 2nd time, 2nd victory of the year and 2nd win in a row. Calvin?
Well, the victors once again, 2 times in California. Certainly the sun is shining on you boys. Luis, great opening stint there. Tough conditions though, a lot of traffic. You got into a little bit, damage to the front end of the car, but Scott brought it home.
Yeah, he did a great job. I mean, the entire team, the Comp USA, Telmex, AMD guys, Chip Ganassi, everybody did a great job. I mean, Scott also did an awesome job, and I think we have to think in the championship more, and we're doing a good work to chase the championship.
Let's get Scott in here. Scotty, he had a lot of pressure there from Butch. It looked like his car was really strong there, and you're going to have to hang on there, but the yellow helped you out a little bit.
I hate it. I hate it for the fans. I to my kids at home. It needs to end under checkered. I mean, under green. Butch was quicker to the infield, and I was quicker up through the hill. He was a little quicker in the fast turns. I was quicker in the slow turns. So it was going to be an interesting show, but I still had some left. He might have got to me, but then he would have had to pass me. So great time, great job, all the Ganassi guys, Comp USA, Lexus again, 2 for 2, and this one's a lot easier. My arms are a lot nicer this time.
We'll take a look at the results in Daytona prototypes. Obviously the victory up there to Pruitt and Diaz. We saw the battle with the 4-car all race long. And as we said, a great job for the 54 car. Taylor and Angelelli hold on as you look through the rest of the field. The 19 car, a great run on down through the order. Johansson and Wagner, a great run early on, and that went by the wayside. Let's get down with Calvin and the GT victor.
Well, it's a big day for BMW, 1, 2, 3 for the PDG team, and Bill Auberlen victorious, but not a smooth weekend. Just really a testimony of this team and the strength they have.
Yeah, this team is so strong. We just lost 1 bullet in the chamber, but the 3 bullets we had left were lethal. And I mean, 1, 2, 3, we swept the deal. Tom Milner made a great decision, real quick, to split us up, put us in cars. The problem is Joey and I are out of points. I mean, I got to thank the team. Tom, Dave, my poor crew chief, you know, I mean, he's struggling a little bit. But everybody did a phenomenal job, and the car was perfect.
Bill Auberlen, you obviously love this racetrack.
I love it, yeah, but when you win, it's even better. And then the car was strong. The team did a great job with the pit stop. The strategy couldn't have been any smarter. And thanks to James, my crew chief now on this car, I feel sorry for Joey, but I bet you're going to see some rerouting of drivers.
All right, mate, great job today.
Thanks.
Tremendous job as you look through the GT leaderboards. The result here, Milner, Marks, and Auberlen, that trio with the PTG cars up front. PTG cars throughout the top 3, and then Levinas and Pope on back through the second group of 6. Wilkins and Lacey with a good run. The Nana makers in 10th, on back through 18th. Mark Bunting and Andy Lawley way back in 18th. That's going to hurt their championship run. And then through the rest of the field, we saw some problems for those guys. Chris Sequeira in the 23 car, a problem earlier on, and then back through the rest of the field. As the fans stick around and enjoy the weather here, fingers movers in the DPs, Southern Motorsports from 21st to 8th place finish in GT TPC Racing. From 26th to 8th, the 37 car, a good move for those guys. There's the flyover by the P51 Mustang. We're going to have to leave you here pretty soon, but we'll take a look at the points in Daytona prototype. Angelelli and Taylor hold on to the lead, but it closes in. We'll catch up to everybody when we get to see you at Mont Tremblant.